my name is Genesis Sain Acevedo, and today I want to share with you guys a lesson that I gave to my fifth graders that both I and my students really enjoyed. And I want to show you what I did and how it went. Before I start talking about the details about that lesson, I want to talk about the EPR, unit standards, indicators, and expectation. The grade is fifth grade, and the unit, standard, indicators, and expectations are in Spanish because the Department of Education doesn't have the curricular maps or curriculum materials in English for a bilingual school, so we need to use the Spanish version. So the unit is 5.1, ¿Cuándo y dónde en América? The standard is personas, lugares y ambiente. And the indicators and expectations are PLA 5.1, where the student explica con ejemplos los conceptos geografía, continente, globo terráqueo, hemisferio y líneas geográficas, entre otros. Y el PLA 5.2, el estudiante desarrolla laboratorios cartográficos para construir y analizar mapas, localizar puntos y utilizar coordenadas. The lesson objectives for the demo class were: during the class about the Earth globe model, the students will define the concept globe in their own words, name the instrument used to locate the cardinal points, in this case the compass rose, create a 3D representation of the planet Earth using everyday materials, label the continents and oceans correctly, and lastly, identify in the globe the prime meridian and the equator correctly. Before this class, I gave like 2 weeks of previous concept discussions and skills development. And during September 16 to October 6, we discussed geography, representation, math elements, types of map, the 7 continents, ocean, hemisphere, and geographic coordinates. During this discussion, I used 3D models of the Earth, balls like this one, that resemble the globe, Google Earth, Google Maps. I used a textbook, posters, images, videos, fill in the blanks, reading comprehension worksheets, drawings, and a song to measure understanding of the concepts. During those days, the students did different activities, like they drew and explained an ideal planet to them. They identify elements that they can see on a map. They explain what places they have visited in Puerto Rico. They identify or classify statements as true or false. They label the map elements. There are 4. They created a map about the road they used to get from home to school, and they interpreted a map to answer questions. They also sang a song that I showed them about the 7 continents. They matched the continent with a characteristic of it. They also labeled correctly the continents on a map, investigated key facts about the oceans on the internet. They completed a crossword puzzle about the bodies of water, and they labeled the hemisphere, equators, and prime meridians into circles that they draw, symbolizing the Earth. These are some examples of worksheets that we worked previously to the class that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. And this is a worksheet where they needed to label the continent. And here is a worksheet of a crossword puzzle about bodies of water. Now let's get into details about the 3D model or globe creating class. This class, like I said, was with my 5th graders in the social studies class, and I gave this class on October 7th of 2021. During the week, I like to share a ASL word with them, and in this case, we practice the word world. Before we did the model, I asked them what was a globe, and they told me in their own words what they remember that we studied. Then I showed them the definition that we discussed during class. I asked them what was a continent and to mention them, and they told me what was a continent, and they, instead of mentioning the continent, they sang the song that I showed them because it was very catchy. This is a piece of the song.
The world is split up from biggest to small. They are Asia, Africa, North and South America, Antarctica, Europe, and finally Oceania.
Before we continue working with the 3D models, we review the oceans and the equators and prime meridian because they needed to identify all of them in the 3D model. What did they needed for the globe? From home, they needed to bring two balloons, a permanent marker, scissors, glue, and coloring materials. The teacher, in this case me, brought an electric air balloon pump so they could fill in the balloons without taking off their mask. I also brought the instructions and a worksheet where they needed to color, cut, and paste the continents, and they have the labels. This is the paper of the instructions. During the class, I modified it a little bit because in this case, it says that the North Pole was going to be glued, and in my case, we draw it with the marker, and they tied a string, and I didn't do that with my students. So I adapted this a little bit for my class. The accommodations for the special needs students were seating arrangement. They were sitting like in this picture in tables, and they could see what the other students were working on. I repeated the instructions several times. Even I translated the keywords of the instructions, so those who didn't know a lot of English yet could understand what they were going to do. I gave individualized help and additional time to those students who needed a little bit of more time. This is the color, cut, and paste worksheet where they have the compass rocks, the continents, and the labels. This is the rubric. They needed to bring the materials, color, cut, and paste everything. They needed to label everything correctly and identify with a marker the prime meridian and the equator. The project or 3D model had a value of 22 points. This is a example that I brought to the class. This is the previous day. I saw during the activity that my student had a little bit of confusion between these two continents. They have doubt on which one was Africa and which one was South America. So I showed them this map without the names so they could see a little bit better because of the song, they know which one was which, but when they had the two together, they were a little bit confused. These are some of the finished work of my students. And why do I think this lesson is important? So studying geography is important because it allows the student have an awareness of place and time. It allows them to locate a specific place for different purposes. It also helps them locate a atmospheric phenomenon like storms, hurricanes, tornadoes. They can also use this type of skills when they go on vacation, when they travel to locate places like in Disney or in a foreign country. It also can be used when they studied in college for population, political, and economical research. And creating this type of activity that is a little bit more physical or kinesthetic, it helps the student develop fine motor skills like cutting, coloring, pasting, and to discuss on different concepts. For example, for math class, you can use this activity to discuss symmetry or 3D or geometric shapes, to locate coordinates on a Cartesian plane, among others. You can also use this type of activity in art classes or maybe in English. If you write a paragraph, the student write a paragraph or the step-by-step that they did to create this model. So this is an activity that can be used in different subjects. I hope that everything was clear, that you like this class, and I give you some ideas for all classes that you can give. If you have any doubt or commentary, you can write them and I will be reading them all. Thank you for your attention, and I hope that you have a nice day.